Hello, I'm Shoshana Resnikoff, curator at the Wilsonian FIU, and today I'm really excited to talk with you all about how an object or an image can be used in different media to express different positions. And we're going to be using today for a case study the Navy Waves, who were the first women to serve in the Navy during World War II. They were the first women to serve in an official capacity in an official unit. Waves actually stands for Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service. It's what we might call a backronym. The Navy came up with the name Waves for these women and then decided to come up with words that would mean waves. So the Waves served in the Navy in non-combatant roles. They wore official uniforms. They were stationed at bases. Only domestically, they didn't serve abroad. And they were a really important part in helping with the manpower shortage. During World War II, in the lead up to World War II, and then once it began for the United States, it was really clear that there weren't enough men to work in the factories, keep the country running, and also serve on the front, and also do all of the work of the military on the back end, administrative, non-combative work. And so there was a real effort on the part of the government to get women involved in the workforce and in the military. So all the branches of the military formed their own auxiliary women's services, and the Navy's was the Waves. Women would work in offices. They would work as instructors at training camps. They did cartography. They worked on code breaking. They worked in intelligence. So they really worked in all areas of the military that did not involve combat. When the Navy formed the Waves, one of their first challenges was what were they going to wear? And for that, they looked to a dressmaker, an haute couturier, in fact, named Monboucher. Monboucher was the most expensive dressmaker in the world at this time. And despite his French-sounding name, he was actually American. And he'd been living abroad for decades at that point. And he wanted to return to the United States because Europe was so unstable. And to return to the United States, though, he wanted to make a splash and kind of repatriate himself, make himself a patriotic American again. And so to do so, he offered to design the Navy Waves uniform for free. For $1. And this was the uniform that the women that the women were given when they joined the Waves. The point of a uniform is to make someone feel like they're part of something larger than themselves, to make them feel like one of many, right? It's also something that you can work in, that you can, oh, that's my cat, that you can feel official in. And certainly when these women wore the uniforms, that is what they felt, and that's how they were used in promotion. You can see in these promotional posters looking to recruit women for the Waves, the way that the uniform helps make them look official, make them look like sailors, members of the Navy. The Navy blue helps, the gloves, the hat, which is actually borrowed, it borrows its shape off of, with the turned up brim, is borrowed off of 18th century naval captains, ship captains hats. And of course the little tie, all of it puts together like a very official naval looking outfit. And you can see in this poster, the woman on the left, the post, she's saluting. So she's part of the military officially. And then of course, the other poster, The Navy Needs You, is directly borrowing from the famous recruitment poster from World War I Want You for the US Army, which features one of the most iconic images of the figure of Uncle Sam. And so really the uniform is being used to equate this woman in the Navy to this figure of Uncle Sam. So you can see that the uniform is doing a lot of work in these designs. And the women certainly wore their uniforms to do real work. They talk in their own autobiographies and in their own oral histories. Women who served in the Waves share how when they put on the uniform, they felt different. They felt important. They felt patriotic. They felt like they were doing something for a larger cause than themselves. These were also uniforms that they literally did work in. You can see on the right, women working in a naval post office, sorting mail. On the left, machinists working on aviation on a plane for repair. At the same time, however, these uniforms were not traditional naval uniforms, and the Navy and various media forces were definitely interested in playing that up. So for instance, in this article from the New York Herald, in which Monbachet is interviewed about the uniforms, he says, he makes it very clear that these are uniforms for women, not necessarily for sailors. In the middle of the article, it says, the overcoat, which he, Monbachet, designed, first was to have had a swinging back. But wisely, he realized that a woman likes her waistline punctuated. So he put a trim back belt on it with vague fullness below. And you can even see the way that this drawn figure is positioned with her arm cocked out. Those of us who are women who take pictures all the time know the power of a cocked out arm, right? To make your body look, to make your waist look slimmer. And that's exactly what this drawing is doing. It's emphasizing the line of the jacket to show how slim and feminine she is. In the other image, which is a little hard to read, this is from a promotional recruitment booklet. And it advertises to women who would join the Waves or the Spars. The Spars were the women's service for the Coast Guard. That you get $200 worth of clothes free. And at the top, the first paragraph says, it's a proud moment when you first step out in the brand new navy blues. The trim uniform was especially designed by the famous stylist Monbachet to flatter every figure and make you look and feel your best. So again, we're playing up femininity, we're playing up gender, we're playing up vanity and personal appearance. To be clear, the uniform was different from men's uniforms in many ways. The obvious, of course, is the skirt, right? Men didn't wear skirts. Women in the Waves weren't allowed to wear pants. So we're already separating them. But another really important feature was actually the collar. You can see here that where the anchor insignia is, the collar is actually rounded instead of pointed. A traditional men's jacket or blazer or uniform would have a pointed collar there. The rounded collar is actually called a Peter Pan collar, and it's called that because it's childish, because it shows up on children's clothing. And so there's this real infantilizing and feminizing of these uniforms. Again, too, in the jacket, you can see where the darts are at the waist, emphasizing the curve of the wearer's body, flaring out, chest to waist to hips. So again, these are uniforms that really make it very clear that the person wearing them is more woman than sailor. The final set of images I want to show you is how people not associated with the Navy used the Waves and used the image of the Waves for various purposes, often to emphasize a woman's femininity or her beauty or her gender. So this advertisement on the left is for mouthwash of all things. It says, beauty fading, better start spending 1 extra minute a week protecting your teeth with Teal. And the image, you can see it's a little bit like that famous meme of the guy looking back at the woman walking away. There's a civilian woman and a civilian man, and he's looking back at this beautiful wave with her lovely smile, which is of course pearly white. And so again, she's got makeup, she's young, she's beautiful. We're using the Navy Waves to emphasize her femininity and see her as an object of attraction. And then finally, this cartoon directly connects the uniform to the Waves' femininity and her subjecthood and her ability to be, frankly, a victim of sexism. So this is a cartoon from Collier's from 1944, and the cartoonist has depicted a Navy Wave in uniform. She's actually a young officer based on her uniform, and a commanding officer, an older uniformed man, is coming towards her. So of course she goes to salute, but sadly it's a windy day and her skirt flies up because skirts are not particularly, are not nearly as good as pants when it comes to the wind. The older superior officer realizes that he's just gotten a glimpse of leg, and he circles back around in order to make her to salute again, bringing her skirt up again so he can see more of her leg. It's a deeply sexist and slightly gross cartoon, but it also shows how these uniforms were understood in the period to be very much about making sure that people understood that these sailors were still women first. I hope that helps explain how a single object or a single image can be translated and understood in different kinds of media, and that this has been helpful and interesting for you all. Thanks so much for listening.